Hi everyone, here we are today. We're at Holy Cross Cemetery on the west side of St. John, and I'd like to tell you the story of when I saw an apparition here about 2 years ago, and also about the history of the grounds and what may have led up to me seeing that ghost on the beach behind the cemetery. The land was originally purchased by the Assumption Church in 1871 to be used to create a new cemetery, as the cemetery that the Assumption Church was using on Tower Hill was becoming overcrowded, and there was going to be no space for new burials. So they needed a new place, and this land was purchased to create that cemetery. The original layout of the cemetery was designed by William Murdoch in 1886, and it was inspired by a rural cemetery movement which dates back to the Victorian period, where they no longer wanted to have cemeteries close and intermixed with where people were living. They wanted to put them on the outskirts so that they could preserve their water quality. They wanted to be far enough from the city that it didn't affect the water, but close enough that people could still come and visit. In later years, trees, bushes, beautification of the cemetery occurred, and that's why you can see this beautiful lane of maples. There was a partnership that was formed between the Assumption Parish and the St. Rose Parish for maintenance of the cemetery, as both parishes would have members that would be buried here. And behind me is where some of the reverends from those parishes are buried. The cemetery is set in a beautiful location with views of the ocean, but they have had issues with coastal erosion. And one of the examples is this. Concrete pillars with steel piping, which would have been the original fence line which outlined the cemetery. This fence was placed here in 1918 to 1920, in that period, and you can see that it ends here, but you have the post continues on this direction. We don't have a post hole here, or we don't have holes there for a pipe, so we know that it continued in this direction, and it's just completely gone as the bank has slipped. One of the graves located precariously close to the edge of this land slippage is for this man here, Private James Armstrong, who was a veteran with the New Brunswick Rangers. He's right on the edge. Hopefully someone from the staff can come out and either shore up this bank or maybe move James to somewhere else on the cemetery before the land slippage takes it over the side of the bank. A good way of seeing how much land has slipped off the side of the bank already, you can see where the fence post was. It would have lined the outside of the cemetery along this bank and over to here. And this roadway, which was closed off, I see someone's moved one of the pieces of concrete out of the way, is this roadway, which you can see part of the asphalt that has come over the side of the bank. So that fence line would have been on this side of the road. The geology of the land that the cemetery sits on is mostly sand, and even the road that runs along the side of the cemetery is called Sand Cove Road. This became such a major issue that between 1977 and 1983, there were over 60 graves that had to be moved because of fear of the erosion and slippage of the bank to other areas in the cemetery. There was some remedial action that was taken where they would put rock at the base of the hill along the ocean, and trees were planted at a cost of over $200,000 to the Catholic Church. Here on the road going to the Irving Nature Park, it's now down to one lane as half the lane has fallen over the bank. Right here is a road going down to McLaren Beach, and this is where we're going to go next. At the bottom of the road to McLaren's Beach is a really nice parking area with access to the water and even some houses. One of the houses here, you can actually see how the bottom floors has kicked out due to the land slippage. So it's not just an issue for the graveyard, it's an issue with the geology in this entire area. Now we're walking along this beach, and I'll show you the area where I saw the apparition 2 years ago. The start of the rock that was placed here to mitigate that land slippage the cemetery is located just up this hill. So we make our way over top of all of this rock. There's little remnants of what might have been here before, or things that have been used to shore up the bank in the past. There's some brick, old timbers. And this area here. When I came here 2 years ago with my family on Easter, we were just walking along the beach, came to this section here, and I was in full historical mode, thinking, what is this? Was this an old dumping site? Was it an old fishing wharf or houses? Something, the reason why they wanted to have these timbers here. So as I stood roughly in this location, I will let the video that I took some 15 to 20 seconds after the incident tell the story. I was just walking around looking at all this rubble that's come out of the side of this cliff. It's all eroding away. Up behind here, there's an old cemetery. And out of the corner of my eye, I just saw a guy standing right here. And then he disappeared. So that was freaky. I guess I just saw a ghost. When I saw the apparition of the man standing roughly inside of this gap, he stood square to me like this, looking directly at me. And I had a lot of things go through my mind all at once. First, embarrassment, fear, and bewilderment, because, oh, it's somebody who's just walking along the beach, and oh, I'm embarrassed because I was looking over here and didn't see them, to, oh, is this like someone dangerous? Am I about to get mugged out here? But when I turned completely, he just vanished in this position. I'm not sure exactly what he was wearing, but I could definitely tell it was a man, roughly my height, and just staring directly at me. So, looking at these timbers, I still don't know what they are. Tried doing some research, seeing old pictures. I know that there used to be, like, I believe there was a smoke shack down here and a few cottages. And people, they've been coming here for generations. I'm sure there were some houses. But these timbers, maybe some of the original things that they used to mitigate the slippage of this bank back in the 1970s, 1980s. And they just used whatever was around. So saying that this is not from an actual structure, it's just old timbers. They would have put brick here, just many different things. Sandstone that's been worked. Old barrels. This here looks like the tip of an axe. Oh, some more stone here that's been worked. Old sandstone. People even come down here to hang out. There's a little fire pit, and they've even left Tim Hortons cups. So you know that you're in a beautiful location, at least in Canada, when you see someone who's left a Tim Hortons cups, because they love to come here, experience the beauty, and then they leave their Tim Hortons behind. So I'll take that out with me when I go. And seeing how it's so close to the ocean, there's wood that washes up here, a lot of metal debris. But I've been curious about who that person was that I had seen and why they appeared to me, as only 2 minutes before my family had walked up the bank, leaving me down here by myself when I saw the person. That's my ghost story, and that's down here on McLarens Beach, right in behind the Holy Cross Cemetery. So if you've ever had any experiences down here, I would really love to know. And I'd love it if you would put it into the comment section below this video. I told this story to a friend of mine. His name's Dave Goss. I was at his house and I told him this is a ghost experience that I had. And he listened to me. Just 1 second. He reached onto his shelf and he pulled out a book that he had written. and he does a lot of different paranormal investigations here in the city and does historical tours and ghost walks. His book had an interview with 3 people, a man and 2 women that had been down here on McLaren Beach. They're gonna have a bonfire. They went in the woods and along the beach collecting firewood, independent from each other. 2 women by themselves and the man by himself. All 3 of them witnessed a person on this beach that then disappeared. So we know that there's been more people than just me that have seen this. So there's 2 things that wait for no man, and that's tide and time. And with time, the tide is going to come and try to erode this bank more. And I wonder if that's why this man appeared to me. Maybe he wanted me to talk about the plight of the people that are now precariously teetering on the edge of coming over the bank. I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned a little bit about the plight of the Holy Cross Cemetery, and maybe you'll even come down here and make your own ghost story. So thank you very much for watching.